ahead and call the Board of Works meeting for February 16, 2016 to order. Have the reading and approving of minutes from last time's meeting. Have a motion to dispense with the reading and correcting of the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. I've got the payment of claims. Is there any questions or discussion about the payment of the claims?
Not anymore.
Okay.
Okay.
We're all good on the payment of claims? All right, so in order to accept the payment of claims as presented to the Board of Works will be in order.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And it passes. We have nothing under the old business. So moving on to new business, we have Bob Radel. Okay. Bob Radel is requesting permission to use the firehouse lawn for the farmer's market. The city technically owns the firehouse, and so we can exercise a right to, approve of anybody leasing the grounds there. The farmer's market there, they're in agreement and have a lease agreement with the church that runs the firehouse, and I don't see any reason to not allow the farmer's market, which is, I think, a great asset to the community. I don't see any reason to deny them. It's kind of a redundancy for them to come before the Board of Works, really. If they have an agreement with the firehouse and the people that are renting it right now. So we can go ahead and make a motion to approve the request for the permission to have the farmer's market there. I would also add to approve the request until there's a given reason to not approve the request. It's kind of an extra hoop for them to jump through. So if we want to make the permission ongoing, so them to come back every year to this board and get their permission. Yeah, we could have them come to the Board of Works and ask for a change. It just seems like an extra hoop that is unnecessary. They have an agreement with the church that runs the firehouse. Right, yeah. So I think that's really between the church running the firehouse and who they want. Right. And I don't know why in the past we've always asked them to come every year and get permission. They seem like any other regular business that they do when they rent out that property to anybody else. Yeah. And they don't come to the Board of Works beforehand to get permission to do it. So, like I said, I think it would be appropriate to grant an ongoing permission for the firehouse to lease that lawn for the farmer's market until further notice. That would be that seems reasonable to me. But any thoughts on that?
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just approve, you want to approve ongoing permission pending any changes or until further notice?
Yeah. I guess the wording of it we can toy with.
Figure out is to make sure that it's worded properly so that there's no kickback on this to, you've given them permission, this
right.
unrestricted permission. So
I mean, to be honest, I don't know why they have to come to the Board of Works every year and get this permission. Is there any reason you can think of, Pat, that they would have to?
No, they could go into a 4-year agreement as long as they don't exceed your term of office.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, so why don't we do that?
Okay. So a motion to give permission to the firehouse to rent the lawn for the farmer's market for the duration of this administration's tenure, or next 4 years, would be in order.
So moved.
second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so they will have permission to use that, that lawn at the firehouse for the next 4 years, obviously, as they have their agreement through the church and the firehouse. So, next on the agenda is the electrical tests. We have, let's see, here. Do you know how many electrical tests we had?
You should have 3.
3. Yeah. I looked over the electrical tests this weekend. There's nothing out of the ordinary. We got Brandon Monroe with a 92%, James Shercliffe 88%, and Dalen Guffey the 92% on the electrical tests for Peru. You guys want to? Do you want to see this?
Those are all passing.
Have you taken the test before, Blaine? It's kind of funny, we got 2 people on the Board of Works that have taken the test before. Do you remember what you got on it? I don't
Do you remember
either.
what passing is?
Well, I assume passing is the same passing grade as,
It's above an 80.
I
Oh, is it above
believe
an
it's
80?
80.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's what Brenda said, it was 80. Yeah.
okay. So they, all 3 passed and
Mhm.
passed with some room to wiggle. So, any questions?
No.
Okay. How should we word these, Pat? Do you know? I don't know exactly how to word the motion for accepting these.
Well, who recommended them? Was it that the building commissioner upstairs?
It was.
Okay, yeah, the building commissioner.
Yeah, well, then just accept the recommendation of the building commissioner that they be licensed and that they've satisfied the requirements. That's all the thing, I think, all the finding you have to make.
Okay. Motion to accept the recommendation from the building commissioner to license the testees presented to us today would be in order.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. So we pass that. Next, Chief Betzner, you have a request for the Board of Works?
Yes, Curtis Babbs and Kevin Ashley have passed all the requirements to become career status at the fire department, firefighters the last year, which means they've taken their Fire 1 and 2 for the state and passed, and they've also become EMTs for the fire department and passed. That is our requirements to become a career status firefighter, so that they both have completed that, and I would ask the board for the recommendation of make those 2 fellows career status.
Is there any questions from the board?
I have a question.
Mhm.
Is it usually within a year that they do
No,
this,
it could-
or is there a
it could-
timeline?
We could extend it up to in fact, Stacy Swinford is currently in EMT class. She will have her year in March, but I don't believe she'll complete that course until June or July.
Okay.
So we're going to extend that probationary period for her to complete the requirements.
Okay.
So it depends on the schooling we can get them in and how long that takes. Some of the folks we hire already are EMTs, so we don't have to worry about an EMT course. They just need to be Fire 1 and 2 certified. Some of them have everything, Fire 1 and 2 and EMT, so we keep them on probation for a year.
And is there a limit that it can only take up to this long?
No,
Or no? Okay.
typically within a year and a half, we're able to get them those requirements and get them past career status.
Okay.
Paramedic status?
No, we're just BLS at the fire department, ULS, paramedic, but we've always just been BLS at the fire department, which is EMT basic
Yeah.
with DFib.
Okay.
All right. Is there any other discussion? All right. A motion to approve, was that
Curtis Curtis Babbs.
Curtis Babbs and
Kevin Ashley,
as
career status.
career status at the Proof Fire Department would be in motion, would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and they pass. Next, we have AT&T. We have a Doug Newland. Doug? Nope. All right, AT&T is requesting partial road closure to do some repairs to their lines. I know the members of the board have gotten copies of the plans. Move some stuff around. Got here. It 64 North Broadway is where they're looking at making some repairs. They have to excavate into the road.
Got a conduit broken.
You know.
The cover letter said manhole in southbound lane of Broadway, just south of Sherwin-Williams, to the pole in the alley, approximately 57 feet. The southbound lane would be closed from 218 to 219, and AT&T would be providing the traffic control for that.
And did it say how long they expected it to be closed?
Just those 2 days, the 18th and the 19th, February 18th, so that's just in a couple of days here.
You don't have the cover?
Okay. Yes, 18th and 19th.
Tish, do you know, that they say, like, what time of day would it be starting in the morning?
I don't have any records of that. I had hoped someone from AT&T would be here tonight. It doesn't have any times.
Okay.
We do have contact information, though, that we could call them just to double check.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't, I think you probably have the same copies I do. It doesn't say a time for me.
Right. That's quite a stretch. Does either of,
From a public safety standpoint, I like the fact that they're going to have someone there with traffic. My concern with the fire department is with the railroad. You know, Broadway is our thoroughfare with our engines, so I think it's crucial that they have traffic control, especially through the peak times of day.
Yeah.
So my concern would be running through there with lights and sirens and reduce down to the one lane.
yeah. Is there anything you wanted to add? Do you see any reason, Chief Betzler?
No, as long as, again, I would think that we would prove that on the fact that they've got the traffic control under, especially through peak times of day.
Gotcha.
I can call them in the morning and
Okay.
just double check with everything and get some times if I can.
Mm-hmm. Is there any other discussion? I guess I would make a motion to accept it contingent on the traffic control being provided, especially during the times of high traffic in town. Either way you want to, I guess, can reword that. A motion to accept the AT&T's application to excavate the street contingent on their traffic control during the peak times of traffic would be in order.
So moved.
Still thinking about it.
I don't like the wording.
Can you come up with something?
Well, I have a question. Before I second this, I've got a question. So contingent on, I mean, what's the ramifications of the contingency if they don't have the traffic control? If they, you know, I mean, it's not like we're gonna come back tomorrow or the day that they do this and meet again and say, well, no, we can't approve that now.
Now, the way I would Then the way that I would imagine that it would be enforced is if they don't have traffic control there and they start this process, we tell them, we give them a stop work order saying that they're not fulfilling their proposed
Yeah,
agreement.
They're not fulfilling their application.
Is that right, Pat? I mean,
Well, when it's contingent upon, that's exactly what it means. It means if they don't have a control sign there, they don't dig.
Well, right. The main thoroughfare, they said they're going to provide, that makes sense.
So I would assume I would call tomorrow and find out what time on the first day of work, which is the 18th, they would show up, and let someone from the city know, the street department know, maybe, to go down and make sure that they have all of that.
well, and it
that they're
does say in
supposed to
here
do.
that contact the street department.
Okay.
It says it in like 3 different times, that they have to contact the street department to make sure that they're aware of all of that, so.
Yeah. Is there, oh, sorry, is there times in particular that you would say are times we need
We're
it?
really congested up there on Broadway through the lunch hour, typically in afternoon. So I would hope that they would have Best and Flagman to help with some of that traffic, especially when we're running through with lights and sirens.
Right.
You know, again, we're being reduced down to the one lane, so it is going to be congested up there through the lunchtime hour and into the early afternoon.
As far as a time frame, maybe to give them so that we're on the same page as far as when we need traffic control, maybe
10 to 3.
10 to 3? Okay. And so outside of those hours, you think it would be okay?
As long as they've got the signage up there, which, you know, they're gonna have signs that say utility work ahead, caution.
Okay.
It ought to be signed and marked.
Yeah, and I would even say even till 5 o'clock, maybe in the evenings. I know the after work rush can be, sometimes, it can be busy.
Only other concern I have is right before school as well. Just depends on what time they want to start, but
True.
7:15 to 8 o'clock is pretty rough in that area as well.
So they really need to have somebody out there before then, especially if there's roads gonna be tore up there, and you got kids driving to school or walking or whatever else, they need to be directing people away from that.
We actually had a moped accident here a few years ago where a gentleman lost control because he didn't realize that the pavement
Right.
had been altered.
Yeah.
So maybe expanding that to like a 7 to 5 would make sense. And that would be a requirement, that they would have to have traffic control there between the hours of 7 and 5.
So that would include flagman and signage?
Yeah.
They would have to have people there flagging along with the signage, and then signage the other hours.
I'm fine with that being the contingency.
Where's
Yeah,
the
and that way we have-
placement? Is that on the west side of the street?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's the west side.
Southbound.
Because they've got that line that comes all the way down. In fact, it passes here, but it's on the west side.
Well, they say it's 57 feet. They're
Yeah,
replacing a 57-foot piece.
That shouldn't take them too long.
Yeah.
yeah.
So based on the clarification of all of that, I don't think we need to restate the motion. I'll go ahead and second the motion because we just clarified it. So, second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Alright. I'm gonna go ahead and write down on here hours between 7 and 5 o'clock, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. on the days that it's closed. We would request that there would actually be a flagman on the site. All right. Next, we have Chief Meeks. We have a SOP revision.
I'll be speaking about, it's the use of informants and confidential confidential funds, SOP. The reason why we're wanting to change that or amend that a little bit is because there's just some verbiage that needed to be cleaned up. We used to apply for and receive something called the Byrne Grant. And inside the Byrne Grant, which was run through the Indiana Criminal Justice Institute, there were certain forms and certain requirements that you had to follow. This SOP probably should have been cleaned up sometime in the last couple of years because we have not been able to, that Byrne Grant basically dried up.
How do you spell the Byrne Grant?
I believe it's BYRNE.
B-Y-R-N-E.
And that grant has dried up, it's no longer available. So with that, then I felt like the this form needed to be cleaned up some, or this SOP needed to as well. I know we're also looking into, I know with Clerk Treasurer Soldi and also with City Attorney Roberts here, we're looking into following up with an SOP regarding the use of this, the informants and the confidential funds as well. So that should be coming out pretty soon. But basically, just wanted to clean up, like I said, this SOP to get out that verbiage, because we don't want to have that in there and then go into court and have a defense attorney say, well, did you use this form or that form, when those forms no longer exist. So we just didn't want to make sure that we were on the up and up with our SOP.
Gotcha.
Very good.
So you're just changing some of the terminology to match up with what our system is?
Sure, exactly. If you look, actually, I have the new SOP, but behind it's the old SOP. Just as an example, if you look down in section 2, number 4, it'd be section A, number 4 down there, it talks about Appendix A. Those no longer exist, that form no longer exists. And throughout it, it talks about Appendix 7s and Appendix Cs, those forms no longer exist.
Yep.
There's nothing, there's just nothing like that any longer. So there are forms that we still maintain, and they've been, just basically that name has been taken away.
Gotcha. All right, that makes sense. Is there any other discussion about the change in the SOPs?
No, straightforward.
All right, motion to accept and the Peru Police Department's SOPs would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, Mike, for your explanation on that. Next is resignations.
Yes, officer position effective February 23rd. Mike's a 15-year officer. He came in my office here back on February 9th and just decided that he wanted to resign from the police department. Mike also submitted his own letter here, and within the letter it says that he's leaving the police department in good standing. So Mike wasn't being disciplined, there's nothing like that. Mike just opted to change his career. So he didn't tell me what his future plans were, but that's basically how he left it with us. And then the second resignation is Officer Andrew Johnson, who has over 10 years with our department. He's accepted a position with the Wabash City Police Department. Andy is from that location. He lives in the Grove and has lived there ever since he hired in with our department. So for us to have him for 10 years was outstanding. I know when we first hired him, my fear was that he was going to go back to Wabash in a short amount of time, but they both proved to be really good officers, and it's going to hurt our department to lose them both, but we wish them well, and hopefully everything works out for both of them.
Gotcha, yeah. Is there any other questions or?
It's unfortunate loss, you know, on both of them, really.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not a good thing to have to approve and vote on, so.
Yeah, I understand why Officer Johnson, you know, wants to get work someplace closer to home, and I think well, I'll just say it's closer to home.
Sure. It's tough. You're losing 25 years of experience between two officers, and
Yeah.
they did a great
Right.
wishing them well, like you said.
I noticed you did want to make sure that on Officer Stuber's his mind before.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Exactly.
The 23rd of February.
Okay, gotcha.
So, and I think we should do those separately when we
Oh, yeah.
approve those.
Absolutely.
Because his does have that.
Yeah, that little bit of difference.
Stipulation.
Yeah. Well, if there's no other discussion, motion to accept Officer Stuber's resignation contingent on, well, let me reword that. A motion to accept Officer Stuber's resignation as stated in his letter would be in order.
So moved.
I'm struggling making you make all the all of these decisions on how to word these.
Well, we had just talked about it. I mean, it doesn't hurt to make that stipulation to say that
Right.
it's, you know, if the man changes his mind before his actual retire or his resignation date, he's still an employed.
Right. Well, that's why I said as stated in
Stated
his
in the
letter,
letter.
because it's as stated in his letter, and his letter says.
Well, his letter doesn't state that.
Oh, his letter
Mike's
doesn't.
letter states that.
Gotcha.
Chief's letter
Okay.
states that.
Oh, look at you being a stickler.
I know. You are the
I'm
sticklest.
sorry. I just want to make sure it's right.
No, I understand.
Okay, so
absolutely.
strike previous bear with me. Strike the previous motion.
Mhm. And I'll second that.
Motion to approve resignation of Officer Stuber as written from the letter by Chief Meeks, dated February 16th, 2016.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All
Thank
right.
you.
No problem. I understand. So, was there any other discussion on Officer Johnson's resignation?
No.
Okay. So a motion to accept Officer Andrew Johnson's resignation as of February 28th, 2016 would be in
So
order.
moved.
You moved.
Are you sure?
Yep. I'm good on this one.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Yeah, it's accepted. All right. Jim's back here. Now the new hires. You have one new hire, is that correct?
Correct. Sean Swinford. Sean is a gentleman who graduated from Peru High School in 2008 and then also went on to the Indiana State University and graduated in 2012 with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and criminology. He's currently a jailer out at the Miami County Jail and has been out there for a year. I'm actually asking for this contingent on the fact that he would pass his PERF. We've talked about that before, but just for clarification, the Public Employees Retirement Fund, which is necessary to pass, he has to go down and have a physical and psychological test. And once he passes that, then we'll be asking for you to approve his employment upon that passing. And that is currently scheduled for February 29th in the morning hours for him. I can speak as far as being on the pension board that you could tell when we interviewed him and then we offered him this offer of employment based upon his passing that he was extremely excited. I mean, you could see his tone and his face change. And I know Sean has wanted this for a while. I think this is his third time applying with the police department. So you could just tell the excitement. I know we're excited for him. Like I said, he's a good guy, comes from a great family here in town. I think a lot of us know the Swinford and Garrettson families. And just seems like an outstanding gentleman. I think he's 26 years of age, so excited about him.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there any other questions for Chief?
Now, after he passes that, then he'll be training and all that, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes. It may be a while, maybe about 3
Sure.
to 6 months, but yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Okay. Well, a motion to approve the hiring of Sean Swinford contingent upon his passing the Public Employee Retirement Fund physical and psychological evaluation would be in order.
So,
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
all right.
Aye. All right. Thank you very much, Chief.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
All right, now we have, I think the city clerk treasurer you want to mention some stuff about some new contracts?
I do. Contract here,
Mhm.
and do you have any other copies of contracts up there? Because I believe I gave you the UMBA.
Gotcha. Yes. The Centos contract.
Centos, but I think I gave you the only UMBA that I have.
I've got one.
Grab that to talk about it first.
Yeah. Smith office. Yeah, and I can tell you about the Centos. I don't know if it was.
Okay, tonight, is he?
No, both of us talked to Bill about these, so I don't know if you want to talk about it or you want me to.
So the first contract that we have is from Centos. Bill McQueen, they have been asking for uniforms for a very long time. They do get a clothing allowance every year, but it's not enough to cover all of the clothes that they wear and destroy, whether it be working with the pavements or collecting the trash or whatever. So we did have two different options for their uniforms. Did you have anything to say about it?
No, just some more detail, really. Their clothing allowance that they get a year, you know, that kind of work, you have to work in boots, you have to have gloves and stuff like that. The clothing allowance really is just enough to barely cover those expenses for their street department guys. And your clothes get really torn up. This Cintas contract is for uniforms and cleaning of the uniforms. It's obviously working on the street department and picking up trash and all these things. You want your clothes to get professionally cleaned on a regular basis, so I'm worried about that, or at least I know I would, working on a department like that. Bill does have the money in his budget to take care of this. He's not
Correct.
asking for any kind of appropriation.
Right.
It's money that going forward in years to come, we'll want to put into the budget to continue. But as for this year, he has the money in his budget to be able to provide this.
So that's the Cintas, and those guys, you know, Bill McQueen was very, very excited to tell his guys, so I'm happy for them. There's a reason they call it human resources. Our humans are our greatest resource, so
Yeah.
there's that. Also, I just wanted to bring up the Smith Office Plus. We are entering in a new contract now. This isn't any new appropriation or anything like that either. We have an extremely old copy machine that we paid $3,500 for 14 years ago. We've been doing a lot of maintenance on that, so I have decided to buy a new machine. $800 for the new machine, $110 for the extra paper, so $910 total. And we're actually saving money on this maintenance contract. It's down to 0.01 cent per copy or click, and it used to be 0.028. So we're actually gaining a new machine that we paid significant less for, and saving money on that contract. So I just wanted to bring it to everybody's attention because I feel pretty good about that. And we are going to look at maybe another department taking our old machine. It does work, it just jams a lot, and it's on its last leg, but we were thinking maybe the Civic Center, because I know they come up and use it quite often. So we were going to see if any other department could get use of our old one until it completely dies.
Gotcha. So,
there's-
Office Smith, basically we're renting it from him, is that how that
No,
works? or-
we own it, but
Okay.
it's a maintenance contract, and we also, for the maintenance contract, we're paying 0.01 cents per copy,
Gotcha.
and that's the maintenance on it.
Okay, so that maintenance will be
Not to
variable?
exceed 200 a year.
Not to exceed 200 a year?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the third one is Umball. Umball is they have been around for a very long time. They are actually helping newly elected and other city clerks. You don't have to be newly elected. They all kind of need help from time to time. And so we are going to consider this contract for help with my first annual report, for help with the multi-year city revenue and expense cash flow, and help with the annual budget preparation and review. One of the great things about Umball is they will make sure that we keep the city on track, but they'll also teach me as they go. So I'll be learning step by step from the professionals exactly how to do this. So I wanted to bring that to the attention to have it considered.
Gotcha. And so this is a draft, and we'll have a final come to us?
Yeah, this is a draft just to kind of get to know you. This administration has used for years. This isn't anything new. This is just, it's my turn to use them, so.
Yeah, I would, and I just reiterate that the financial, how do they put it in the line item?
Consultants.
Financial consultants, has been in the budget for a number of years, going back as far as like seen so far, how far back it goes, but the city's been using financial consultants every year for, like I said, a number of years, and it's already in the budget to do so, so. All right.
So just consider those.
Okay, do we have to vote to consider this since it's not the final contract?
Because it's in draft, what I would suggest is that perhaps if you didn't want to have another meeting before it was signed, then give the mayor and the clerk treasurer the authority to execute it on behalf of the Board of Works and go on with it there, unless you want to see the final document. I think it needs to be tweaked in terms of expenditures. And so in terms of that, it's not ready to be filed, but, you know, depending upon what can be worked out with Umball, it could be, you know, within the next week or so.
Okay. 3 contracts we have coming for us tonight, right?
I do have the Intersect one if you want to talk about that. I didn't know if that was
Okay. I know we have some of the similar,
it was technically received after our deadline for this meeting. So
Gotcha.
that's the reason it's not.
right,
So if you just want to wait on that.
yeah.
Okay.
We can wait on the Intersect one.
Okay.
Make sure we get that on the agenda for the next time.
Okay.
The Centos, we can vote on that tonight, that,
Okay.
from what I understand, and the Smith Office Supply, it needs to go through a Board of Works approval for that purchase, because it's got a service contract. That's why we have to vote on that one.
Pat, maybe you can.
Well,
look
if
at
it's
that.
in your budget.
It is in the budget and it's not a
okay,
capital
just go-
expense because
just
it
go
was
ahead
800.
And then you would submit a claim the next time after it's delivered, and then you can decide what to do with the excess equipment.
Okay.
Yeah.
And to decide what to do with the old equipment, is there a specific process to go through for that, or?
No, unless you want to sell it, and then you have to go
Right,
through the
right.
salvage law. But if you're going to give it away independent to another part or
Department,
vision of
yeah.
the city, then you
Okay.
don't have to go through that.
Okay, thank you.
Wouldn't that be the same thing with the Centos? Or well,
Well, the Centol, they wanted to go to with the cheaper option over here. So he just wanted to show us that he did look at 2 different companies, looked at a Carhartt company and a Centol company, and the prices were, for the Carhartt was $175.20 a week. With the Centos, it was $131.50 a week. So, it's $9,100.
but one city's already got it, it's already in the budget. And there's no
Yeah.
appropriation
Yeah.
that needs to be done for it, so.
Right.
We would, just based on what Pat was saying, we didn't necessarily, we don't have to take a vote.
Basically, I'm bringing these contracts here just in the name of transparency. I just wanted to let everybody know what's going on and how we're spending some money. So I
Cool.
don't know that they technically need to be approved.
Okay.
It was just bringing it to everyone. So.
Do you see any further action needed on that then, Pat, as far as the Centos or the,
Well, the Smith Office Supplies is in the budget, so you could take care of that by claim.
okay,
I don't know, is the
Centos
Syntax
is in the
within that budget
It is.
also?
It is.
Okay,
The
then-
only one that I think we need to
Yeah,
consider
same
is
thing
Umball.
with bot.
questions or discussion before we make a motion on the Umball contract?
The only thing I'd say about with the Umball, if we do that, make sure that it's with, I mean, I don't mind you guys having that, you know, when we make that a motion, but with Pat's review as well, because he's gonna
Of course.
look that over. So I think we, just when we make the motion, make sure we state that after his review as
Do you
well.
want the city attorney's review of the
Yeah,
contract?
yeah, because he said there was some verbiage in it
Sure.
that needed to be cleaned up, so.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. Does it work for you?
But given the authority subject to my approval, and that's
Yeah.
basically it. Okay.
Does,
Okay, are you going to craft this for us?
Good for you.
Did you like that?
We'll skip that stuff altogether and go straight to you, Blaine.
It's always easier when somebody else makes
Yeah,
the
you
motion.
want-
Yeah,
Then
it's
I
you want
can
me to
tweak
tweak
it.
You want me to
I
go
don't
ahead and
mind
try, and you can go ahead and shoot it down?
No, I'll take a stab.
Okay.
So, I'll make the motion that we, give the final approval for the umball contract to the mayor and the clerk treasurer, after final approval from, city attorney.
I'll second that. We got a motion, that was a motion, right?
Yep.
Okay, and a second, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so we'll get a final draft to you, Pat, and after your approval, and we'll be able to go ahead and sign that contract on Ball.
Very good.
So, is there anything else to come before this body? Seeing none, a motion to adjourn will be in order.
Wait, that
What? Oh,
gentleman.
Hey, Gabe, on the electrical test,
mhm.
when they issue the permits this, or our licenses this year, they combined them. And in the past, we always had an electrical license and we had a contractor's license. A contractor can't do electrical work per se, and an electrician can't necessarily do a contractor. So they need to look at that. I got two this year because I wanted to, but they've rolled them together and they're not the same.
So you're saying that on the contractor's license, they're putting electrical
They just
on there
They
too?
just check a box in the computer saying you have an electrical license. It doesn't say we're in a contractor's license if you're a licensed electrician. But how long have you had your license? Did you actually get an electrical license?
Yeah.
Mine was.
Okay.
Yeah, mine was too.
Okay, now today, they're not doing that. They're just issuing a contractor's license with an electrical certification.
So
There is a difference.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'm just trying to figure out how you're saying, what has changed exactly? Are you saying that
You
they're,
just want to put it on one piece of paper, say you're a licensed contractor or you're a licensed electrician. I'm not sure exactly how Brenda printed it out, but she printed out two for me because I wanted both of them so I could have them in my record that
mhm.
I'm a licensed electrician, which I've been for 35 years, but I'm also a licensed contractor.
And so you have one license for each of those?
Yes.
And you're saying
That's
that-
the way it was in the past.
Right, and that's what you got this year, is one for each, right?
I asked for it.
But the initial one she printed out was all in one? And you
All in
said,
one.
then you
I
went
don't
back and
know.
asked for the,
No, I was already there, so I
Oh.
just said, hey, where's my, I don't think I said electrical license, I just said, where's my electrical license at? Well, we haven't checked the box in the computer.
Now, is that on the form too? Because and I'd have to look at this to be sure, but
I'm not sure.
I'm thinking
All I know
that-
is I only got one this year, and I thought I got two the previous year. Maybe I only got one and I didn't catch it.
I was thinking that the forms have a box for general contractor and a box for electrical. And so it could have been that both of those boxes were checked in one form, or it could have been that in previous years you got the permits at different times, and so you got two different ones.
Because in previous years, I don't know how long we've had contractor license, about 8 years probably now, or 9, 10 years maybe. Because you only had electrical license, you didn't have to have a contractor's license.
Right.
And then they went to a contractor's license. So maybe they rolled together, but I always thought I got two of them.
Is this an
It needs to be clarified
in-house?
Because, electrical license is entirely different than contractor's license.
Is this an in-house form or is this
Yeah,
a state form? It's
right.
an
And we
in-house
could take a
form?
look
They
at
do
it,
or the
'cause-
printer does that. But-
Okay.
Because you don't have to have, you have to have a license to do electrical work, but you don't, you know what I'm saying?
You have to take a test. You have to take a test to get the electrical
You have to take a
license.
test
You have to
get the
show proof
electrical
of
license, but you
insurance
don't
to
have
do
take a test to
contracting.
be a contractor.
Yeah. And I can take a look at that and see if that's, but if I'm not mistaken, I think it's checked boxes in the form.
Unchecked boxes by accident, and things get lost in computers. It's easy, it just happens. So I think people ought to be issued whichever license they got, and then if you have two, you carry two.
Yeah. I don't know if there's a motion or anything
No, I just-
for this body to do
Something you
tonight.
need to check on and clarify, 'cause I always thought we had two, and this year I only got one.
Yeah,
I
okay.
got two now, but,
We can look at that and double check. So,
because you can have actually people saying, well, I'm a licensed electrician doing electrical work.
is there anything else that come for the board?
That was all.
I see nothing. Motion to adjourn would be in order.
where, all in favor?
Oh, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.